Right, so in this video we're looking at question 2.1 from assignment 1 of CNOS5112. Where do I find my assignment? I go to my student intranet and then I click on my student intranet and then I go to student material here and then I search for my CNOS assignment. Once I've opened up my CNOS assignment, there's the Word document. I'm going to question 2.1. It says installing Windows 10. What do I need to do? I need to install 2 virtual computers. How do I install these virtual computers? I follow the instructions that is given to me on the YouTube videos. Where would I find the YouTube videos? I go into my module on Arc, which is CNOS. I click on content on the left hand side and then under additional resources or additional material, whichever the name is, I look at the YouTube playlist. When I click on the YouTube playlist and I click on open, it will have a number of different videos that I can watch to accomplish each of these tasks. Next, there's a WhatsApp group. I'm sure most of you are part of that. And then how to get to Azure Labs. So there's a link that allows me to get to Azure Labs. But let's say, for example, I don't have access to Azure or I don't have access to Arc. What do? I can open up a new browser window and I can type in my browser labs.azure.com. Okay, if I just type in labs.azure.com and I press enter, then it will take me to exactly the same place. So if I don't have the link and if I want to go to Azure Labs, I open up the browser and I type in what? labs.azure.com, and then it takes me to this place. Once I'm here, I can see that I've got HSU Lab 1 2025. Then I need to go into that lab. So if it is stopped, then I'll press on start to start the lab. And once the lab has started, the first time you are using it, it will ask you to reset your password. So if I click on the 3 dots here, like for example here, it will allow me to either redeploy, re-image, show RDP information. You don't need to worry about that for now. Here, that's only used for troubleshooting purposes, right? It will, if I have not already set a password, it will ask me for a password to set it for the first time. And then once this has started, it's going to allow me to connect to my Azure Virtual Lab. Now, what is Azure Virtual Lab? It is a virtual computer that's in the cloud. We have access to these cloud services that we are going to connect to, and we're going to work on virtual computers in the cloud. What are we going to do? We're going to install 2 of these virtual computers, and we're going to get them to network with each other, connect to each other, and then they're going to share resources, and then we're going to configure some settings in Windows 10. Whilst this is starting, what else do I need to know? If I go into, okay, so we spoke about the videos that's available that you're going to watch. Then how to get to your virtual computer, we spoke about that. Azure Labs. If you do not have access, you need to go to the 12th floor and sort it out. You've got textbook slides that you're going to look at as well. And then you've got your ICE activities that you can complete as well. All right. Now, the theory behind what we are doing in the assignments is covered in the content. So it's either in the slides, or if you click on content here, and if you go to your different learning units, you will see that they are covering it in Windows 10. I click on learning unit 1, I read through this, then I click on the learning unit objectives, and then I go through the content that's covered on ARC. Okay, so whatever we are doing practically, the theory behind it is covered on these learning units. So I need to click on all of these things. This is actually the answers for question 1.1. There's the answers here, right? And then also you'll find the answers in the slides. So Windows 10 features and elements, because question 1.1 is asking us about which version of Windows 10 are we going to be using. So I keep clicking on these, I complete the activities, I read through, etc., and I go through the content that's found on ARC. Once I can see that this is now running, I click here. Now if I click on the 3 dots here, you can see it allows me to reset password now once it is running. So if I forget my password, I can always go and reset it here. Then I click on this icon here. It says connect to the virtual computer. So if I click on the icon, it's going to ask me to download a file that's going to allow me to connect. Now I have already downloaded it, so I don't need to download it again. In your case, you will click on save. I'm going to click on cancel. Then I'm going to go to my file explorer. I'm going to go to downloads, and I'll double click on it. And then it's going to open up this dialog box that says remote desktop connection, security warning. I'm going to say connect, and then I'm going to type in the password that I have set. And then I click on OK. And then I click on yes. And once I've done that, now you can see this is that virtual computer in the cloud that I'm connecting to. So this is a virtual computer in the cloud that I'm connecting to. If I move my mouse pointer on the top here, you can see that I can restore it down. So this window here is actually the virtual computer that I'm working with. Can you see? It's different from my desktop computer that I'm working with. How to do the actual installation of the virtual computer now? I'm just going to maximize that virtual computer. I'm going to type here Hyper, and I'm going to open up Hyper-V Manager. Hyper-V Manager is the program that's built into Windows 10 that I'm using to create, manage, work with virtual computers. In here, for example, I can see I've already created one that's called Windows Subin Win10A. What am I going to do now? I'm going to say new virtual machine, and I'm going to go through this wizard. I'm going to go next. What is the name? I'm going to say this is Subin Win10B. Remember, I need to install 2 of them, Win10A and Win10B. So you give it your name, 10A, or you can actually put your student number, Win10A. Then I'm going to go next. I'm going to click on generation 2. I'm going to go next. I'm going to put in 2000 for the memory. That's the RAM for the virtual computer. I'm going to go next. I'm going to connect it to the default switch. I'm going to go next. I'm going to leave this connect to virtual hard drive. It's automatically creating a hard drive, a virtual hard drive for me. I leave this as it is. Then I click on next. I'm going to install an operating system from a disk image. A disk image is called an ISO image. So here where it says installation options, I'll say install an operating system from a bootable image. The image file, it says where's that image file that contains the operating system. I'm going to click on browse, and then I can see I've got Windows 10 Enterprise Evaluation. I click on Windows 10 Enterprise Evaluation, and I say open. Then I go next and I go finish. Once I've done that, now I click on that virtual computer that I've just created, which is Windows 10B, and I say connect. At the bottom right here I can say connect, and then I click on start. This here now, right, press any key to boot from CD or DVD, is that image file that I've just created. So if I didn't press any key, it's stuck here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to restart, and then I'm going to press any key on my keyboard. You only do this when you do the installation. Once the installation is finished, you do not have to click any key. You just let it go again. So I'm going to press on the top here. I can say there's a reset button for this virtual computer. So I click on the reset button, and I'm going to say reset. Now it's going to say press any key, and I press the enter key on my keyboard. What is it doing now? It's looking at that ISO image, and it's copying the files from the ISO image onto this computer's hard drive, this virtual computer's hard drive. It's then going to ask me a number of different questions on how to install. The language, I'm going to leave it as United States English, and I'm going to go next. Then I'm going to click on install now, and you'll see it's going to start installing that virtual computer. During the installation, it's going to copy files, and it's going to also ask me some questions. Accept the license terms. Yes, I'm going to click on accept the license terms, and I'm going to go next. Then I'm going to say an upgrade is if I've got an existing operating system there. On this new virtual computer that I've just created, I don't have anything. So I click on custom. I do not change any of the disk information here. It has automatically allocated the hard drive on which it's going to install the operating system. I go next. Now it starts copying the files from that ISO image onto this virtual computer's hard drive. Okay, so we do not click anything else. You can go and play around with it, you can break it, you can delete it, you can recreate it in your own time, right? For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm doing the basic minimum to get the installation complete, right? Additional configuration you do afterwards. Okay, the more changes and more settings you change during the installation, more chance of installation failing. So you rather do a clean installation initially, and thereafter go make any configuration changes that is required. Whilst this is copying the files now, I'm going to go and create my assignment answer document. So I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm going to restore this. And so inside this window here, you can see is the virtual computer, and there's my original desktop here. I'm going to go into the online version of Word just to make it easier. You can use either the online or offline version of Word. So I'm going to go to my student intranet. Then I'm going to click on the top here. I'm going to click on Word. So whether you are working on campus or off campus, you can do all these activities. Then I'm going to create a blank Word document. On the top left here, I'm going to give it a name so that I know what is this document. This is Subain, or I can put my student number, CNOS 5112, assignment 01. Anything else I need to put in, and I am HCSS. Okay, so I've given it that file name and I'm going to press enter. I can see where has it stored it. It stored it in my documents on my OneDrive account. Now what do I do now? So for now I can just type, who am I? Suben. What is my student number? What is this document? It's my CNOS 5112 assignment 1, and I'm doing question 2.1. Question 2.1. What is this one about? Install Windows 10. So this is about installing Windows 10 on Azure Virtual Labs. What do I need to do? I need to install this on Azure Virtual Labs, 2 of them, and then I need to rename the computers. Rename computers. What computers? Virtual computers. Going back now, if I click at the bottom here, I can see there's my Azure Labs. It's still, so it's copying the files. Files are ready for installation, installing features, installing updates, and it's finishing up now, right? To answer the question, remember, I need to take screenshots. Okay, so this is what we're going to show you how to do. I don't take the screenshots of all the steps. I only take the screenshots that answers the question. What screenshot is going to answer this question? I need to show that my virtual computer has been installed, number 1, and number 2, that the virtual computer has been renamed according to what they say, Windows 10A and Windows 10B. But I'm going to put my name into it, okay, so that I can see that I have not taken someone else's screenshot. This screenshot is unique to me. So there's this now that is reloading. So it's copied the file, then it's rebooting the computer. So that's what it's doing now. So install the selected Windows 10 versions of the 2 virtual computers and rename the desktop PCs to Win10A and Win10B respectively. So this is the question we are currently completing. Now also in the YouTube playlist you will see that there should be some additional videos here. Okay, so I've shown you how to use Visio to create a network diagram. Then there's an Azure Lab demo here on how to use Azure Labs. Then there's some errors that you will typically encounter, right? So go and watch these additional videos as well to familiarize yourself with working with virtual computers and what kind of problems you can encounter. All right, so there's the additional videos that you need to watch as well. Remember in iStask 1, what did we do? We created screenshots and we saved it in a Word document and we submitted the Word document. So if you haven't completed that already, you need to complete that because you're required to take screenshots for the assignment. Let me go back to my virtual computer here. Okay, still loading. So there's basically two screenshots that I will need to take. One screenshot is going to show Win10A and the next one is going to show Win10B. Now it says let's start with the region. Is this right? I'm not in United States, I'm in South Africa. Okay, so I can look for South Africa here. There's South Africa. Just going to maximize this one and then I'm going to say yes. US keyboard layout, I'm going to say yes. Add a second layout, I'm going to say skip. You can see that this is taking some time. And all the other questions after this is dependent on this virtual computer working. In other words, if you don't have this virtual computer working, then you can't do 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. Let's just see what are the other questions that's there. I'm going to restore this. Going back to the assignment. Where's the assignment? Here. 2.2 system utilities. I'll need to use this virtual computer. Managing disk and file systems. I need to use the virtual computer. 2.4 users and group management. I need to use the virtual computer. 2.5 Windows security. I need to use the virtual computer. So if I haven't done 2.1, I can't do the rest of them. We do them in order. Now it's asking me to sign in with the Microsoft account. I'm not going to sign in with my Microsoft account. I'm going to click on the left hand side here, join domain instead. Now who's going to use this PC? I can type my name. Subain is going to use this PC. I'm going to go next. A password that I can remember. Go next. Confirm your password. Next. Security questions. Select some security question and give it some answers in case you forget. I've answered the 3 security questions and I went to next. Remember, once you've installed this now, you don't have to going and installing it. You only do question 2.1 once. But if there's a problem with your virtual computer and it's become corrupted, then you might have to reinstall, right? For some reason, something might happen. Choose privacy settings for your device. I'm going to leave it as it is and I'm going to say accept. So as you can see, this is quite a process. It's a long process. If you are working with a physical computer, it will be exactly the same. But we are working with a virtual computer. Remember, assignments also require additional research. So if there's something that is not covered in the YouTube videos that I make, where do you look? You look at your textbook, you look at your slides, you look at ARC, and you do additional research on the web to find answers. Got it? That's research. And then you list your sources. Where did you go to get that information? I'm going to leave it as the default and I'm going to say connect. And now I'm going to log in to this virtual computer that I've just created with the password that I used before. And I'm going to press enter. So this window now is a new computer that I've just installed, a Windows 10 computer. And I'm going to be using this Windows 10 computer now to complete the rest of my assignment. I can close this one. Hi, welcome. I don't want this thing here, so I'm just going to close it. My next task is to do what? Is to rename this computer. So I'm going to look at how can I rename this computer. This is a common thing that you might see because of internet connectivity errors, right? Meaning that when I don't have a strong internet connection or the connection gets broken to the cloud server, then I will get this kind of an error message. What do I need to do? Be patient. Take a couple of deep breaths. Chill. Smile. Relax. So it's asking me to log in again. So I'll log in again, although I just did this, right, because of the connectivity problems. I'll log in again. I'm in now. So what am I going to do here now? Now you can see that this is the virtual computer that I'm currently working on in this window here. this window that I'm moving around. So make sure that you are completing the activity in the correct window. What do I want to do now? I want to rename this computer. Can you see I've got two start buttons here? This is the Azure Virtual Lab, and this is the computer that I've just created. I'm going to go into the computer that I've just created. I'm going to right click on the start. Now remember, in Windows there's at least 3 ways in which I can accomplish any task. In the demos, I'm just showing you one way. There's many other ways. If you look at your textbook, if you look at ARC, if you look at other Windows videos, you will come across other ways in which you can accomplish the same task that I'm showing you how to do here. So I right clicked on my start button here, and then I'm going to my system, and I can see it gives me an option to rename this PC here. Currently the device name is desktop 76 whatever it is. I'm going to click on rename this PC, and I'm going to type in, I want this to be Subin Win10. This one was Win10B. Okay, and then I'm going to go next. It's going to ask me to restart. I'll say restart now. Then I'm going to log in. So what have I done now? I've restarted. So I want to log in now. I'm going to go to exactly the same place I went to before. I'm going to right click on my start button, and I'm going to click on system, and now I'm ready to take my screenshot. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to restore this down. I'm going to go into my Word document that I've created. There's my CNOS Word document that I've created, and I click at the bottom of the screen here. I open up my snipping tool. Okay, so in my case I'm just going to use print screen, and then I'm going to drag across. I'm going to drag across like this, and then I'm going to left click, hold it down, drag across, release it. It's got a screenshot. For you, you are going to click here and you're going to type snip, and you'll open up the snipping tool, right? Because I'm currently using the snipping tool to record this video, right, I can't show you how to use the snipping tool, all right? But this is the tool that we're going to use. Once I've done that now, I go into my Word document, and I press the Control key on my keyboard, and I press the letter V once. It's going to paste that screenshot. Then below the screenshot, I'm going to write screenshot of Subin Win10B computer on Azure Labs renamed with computer name changed with computer with showing, let's say showing the computer name changed to Suben Win10B. Every single screenshot that I put in my assignment, I write a description like this: screenshot of Suben Win10B computer on Azure Labs showing the computer name changed to Suben Win10B. So if I look at this screenshot here, I can see at the top I'm working on the Suben 10B virtual computer, right? And then if I look at the computer name here, device name, it says Suben 10B. Can you see, right? I've taken the screenshot, I put it into my assignment answer, and then I save this. I make sure that it is saved correctly. So currently I can see that this one is saved in Suben Naidu documents. If I click on the on that arrow there, it allows me to say which other locations do you have. So I can click on my files, and then I can choose another location. So in my case, I might choose RC 2025, and then this is the CNOS module. I'll click on CNOS module, and I'll say I want to move it to this location on my OneDrive account. So in future, when I go to my OneDrive account, I don't want to go to that OneDrive account, so I'm going to click on OneDrive from here. That was my personal OneDrive account. I want to use the college OneDrive account. So I went to my files, and then I went into RC 2025. You can store it wherever you decide, right? And I'm going into CNOS 5112, and then if I look at CNOS 5112, I'm looking for, there's my ICE task 1, there's my assignment document that I've just created. Okay, so I keep adding now. Every time I complete an activity, I'm going to add to this document. I go and open up the document, and I take the next screenshot. Now, once I've completed this virtual computer here, I can close this virtual computer. So I can say shut down, or I can say save. If I click on save, exactly where I left off, it's going to save this virtual computer. So if I want to go now back into this virtual computer, I will go back into Azure Labs. I will go into Hyper-V Manager, and I can see Windows 10B is saved, right? I'll do now exactly the same thing to create Windows 10A. I'll install Windows 10A, and then I'll take the screenshot like I took of Windows 10B. Okay, so you can start with Windows 10A and then do Windows 10B. There are other videos that covers getting familiar with the Hyper-V Manager, etc. You look at the playlist, you watch the additional videos. It's covered there. And that concludes this demo.